recording, just so you all know. Oh.
Were you?
My drone show.
I'm tired.
Late night breakfast. Oh, I'm in, bro. Is it gonna be hash browns?
There might be.
Hopefully. Little nudge there.
I love hash brown.
I love.
Okay, the time is 5:05. Can we get the recording started?
It's already.
Oh, already recording. Beautiful. Okay, I see a quorum of councilors in attendance, so I'm going to call this meeting to order here at 5:05. We'll start with attendance. I shaved 5 minutes off our meeting today because of a error on my part. So just FYI, we're going to forgo attendance. I'm just going to make known for the record that all councilors are present in person except for Emma Fox, and Susanna is online. Is there any objection to me doing attendance that way today? Beautiful. Moving on to reading of the mission statement. Do I have a volunteer? I saw Will's hand first.
All right. Our mission statement: to support the evolving needs of the MSU Denver students by advocating in their best interests to enhance the university experience and opportunities.
Thank you for that wonderful rendition. And then we'll go on to approval of the agenda and previous meeting minutes. We have the agenda pulled up. I will entertain motions and discussion. Faye.
I would like to motion to add an item to old business, specifically a discussion about an appointment to the Faculty Senate Academic Policy Committee.
Do I hear a second?
Sorry, Faye.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your motion, please?
Okay.
Yeah, it is a motion to add an item to old business about a discussion surrounding an appointment
Okay.
to Faculty Senate Academic Policy Committee.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Will. Is it okay if we consider that to be the last item of old business? Wonderful. Is there any opposition to this motion? I call that motion passed. Okay, still on the question of the adoption of the agenda. See a motion from Will?
I motion that we adopt the agenda as now
Wonderful. Is
revised
there
or
a
added. Yeah.
I second that.
Okay, second. Motion on the table is the question of adoption of the agenda as amended. Any objection? Wonderful. We have an agenda now. On to meeting minutes. Okay, is there any hands on the meeting minutes? I'll let us get scrolled down before okay, meeting minutes are there. Any hands? We'll go to Will.
I'm not sure, but at the very bottom, I don't know if never mind. This might not be relevant to the meeting minutes, but I do see that Armando Rijo is still our staff co-advisor listed on here, and that we need to remove Armando since he's not an official advisor of TSAC anymore. But I don't know if that's here or if that's later or whatever. Just something I noticed.
I will defer to Steven on what he wants us to do. Weird thing for me to say, huh?
It's really up to you all. I mean, if you just want to make a motion right now to strike that aspect, if you see no further changes, I think that's an easy thing that you all can just do right now. If there are further changes, I would encourage you all to like we've done with past agenda items, to table and go from there. But it's really up to you all.
Then
I'll make a motion to strike Armando's box from the minutes for this meeting.
I second that.
Okay, is there any opposition to that motion? Wonderful, that passes. I need a motion to approve the minutes if we are going to do so. Is there any hands?
With the striking, I motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Any? Second. Wonderful, seconded by Sai. Any objection? That is done. We'll move on to our next item of business, which is public comment. Time is 5:08. No one is currently in attendance from the public that is not already scheduled to talk to us. So we're going to move on. If a member of the public comes in before 5:20 or joins online, we will stop everything we are doing and allow them to give their comments. Okay, Dr. Simmons, I'm going to hand it off to you.
I talk fast. You talk faster, which is saying a lot. You got through a lot in a very small amount of time. It's nice to see you all. Hopefully folks are surviving, maybe thriving this time of year. I know it's hard with finals, various holidays, disruptions, and just finishing up the year. So keep up the good work. Let us know how we can support you if you do need any support. But I think you had a really fantastic semester, and so we're really grateful for all the work that you're doing. Just a few updates from the university. I'm happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And these are in no particular order. So we are kicking off the budget season for both the university and the state of Colorado. The state's budget really informs the university's budget. The state's budget will identify through the Joint Budget Committee what the institution is allowed to do with tuition, and any new money, if any, that the institution would see, and any cuts, if any, that the institution would see in our state funding. State funding is one of our largest pots of revenue to the institution. State funding and tuition and fees are really the two things that that feed the university. So typically what you'll see coming up is in early January, the president will go to the legislature. She will speak in front of the state Joint Budget Commission, which is a group of House members and Senate members, General Assembly and Senate members, and sort of make a case for the university. She's been extraordinarily successful at that the last few years, and is really a commanding presence, and will often take students with her to speak to the legislature about what's going on at MSU Denver and the value of this place. But then it's a cat and mouse game for another couple of months to see what the legislature does to balance the state's budget. And we've already talked about it's not going to be a great year. There's about $1 billion with a B dollars that they are likely going to have to cut out of the state budget for next year. And it only gets worse after that. But we feel like the university is in a really strong position given our strong enrollment. We grew 3.1% in the fall. We're looking almost the same now for the spring. And so that's money that we hadn't actually counted on. We budgeted at flat enrollment from last year. And so that's helping this year. It helped us absorb that $800,000 cut. And so going in next year, whatever the legislature does, we feel good about where our enrollment is. And so I think we may have to make some tough decisions, but ultimately we'll be okay. Nothing cataclysmic. The other piece of the budget process is the student fee review. And so who among you is on the SAB, the Student Affairs Board? And Emma, awesome. So that's a really big responsibility to review the student affairs fee. And so that, again, that board only reviews the student affairs fee. There are other fees that are not reviewed by that group, like the mental health fee, the well-being fee, the bond fees, the AHIC fees, et cetera. Generally, just as a reminder, the institution can raise fees up to 5% without going to a student vote. Anything above 5% does require a vote of the students to either create a new fee or to increase a fee. Generally, we've kept those fees at around 5% or even less for the ones that we do raise. We didn't raise a couple of fees last year, but it's really because so that the staff who are paid with those fees have compensation increases like the rest of the university without cuts to the programs that they're supporting. Personnel is a big part of the fee budget. So that's budget. Next update for you is construction. There's a lot of it. We started the second floor of Summit House. The floor is down, and so the walls are going up. You'll notice that being built. We are on schedule and on budget. That's what you want to hear several months into that project. And the Health Institute Tower should be breaking ground early in the spring semester. So lots of really cool projects happening. The other really big thing that's going on right now is the new student information system. And so that's the system that supports your financial aid, your registration. It is the ultimate system that contains all of your data. It's where the grades live, where your transcripts live, and we are moving from Banner to Workday Student. And we are sort of maybe a third of the way through that implementation process. It's going really well. There are no areas where we're feeling like we're not making strong progress. And it'll be a really great platform. A lot of things that we can't do now, just technologically, we will be able to do on the new student information system. For example, every semester you can have a checklist that shows if you're ready to register. is there a hold? Have you done your financial aid? Or have you filled out your insurance waiver if you need to do that? And so that sort of easy one-stop checklist, I think will make a lot of students' lives easier. And that's just one of the ways that we think Workday is going to make our lives a little better. So we're feeling really good about the student information system. An exciting update for the spring semester, the College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences through Dean Mazzarini is piloting an evening classes program. And so these are, I believe they're 8-week courses. They will be offered in the evening, so after 5 p.m. They will all be in one building. I can't remember, I think we landed on this building, but I'm not sure, so don't hold me to that. But it's really to see if we really market evening opportunities to take classes, is there a demand there for that? And so please do tell your peers to look for those. I think a lot of people don't expect us to have a lot of evening classes because we don't typically offer them. And I think there is a need for it. We just got to make sure that the right people who want them register for them and take them. So please pass that on, but really excited for the work that he's doing. I believe it is in the JSSB because the nights when those classes are offered, the windows on the first floor, many of them will stay open until 6 p.m. for evening students who come in to be able to check their registration, pay their bill, check financial aid for that. And the last thing I'll offer is a couple of you are on my advisory board. We've had 2 meetings. The third is on Monday this semester. And again, for those of you who haven't been on it, it's a group of lots of different students representing lots of different programs, both academically and co-curricularly. And typically we just sort of say, what's on your mind? What do you see? What should I know about? Some of the topics that we've talked about this year, students shared some concerns about the level of customer service and financial aid in the enrollment call center. And so we had Michael Wynn, the executive director of financial aid, come in, and Megan Schersberg, who's the AVP of enrollment management, to hear more about that and hear some of the progress that we're making in that space and in that area. They shared a lot of concerns about advising and the quality of service from the advising system. And so the provost and deputy provost will be coming in on Monday to the advising meeting or to the advisory board meeting to hear about their concerns around advising. One of the other topics that came up was the availability of food for individuals who have food restrictions or dietary restrictions or allergies, that it's hard to eat on campus. And so it was really good to hear that feedback, because then I can take that feedback to the people that make decisions and make sure that I'm sort of echoing student voices and uplifting student voices. So that's my updates. What do you want to know about?
Before we start, I was asked by Cynthia to make sure you understand what time it is so you don't miss any appointments you have after. What time were you expecting to stay till today?
I'm expecting to stay until you kick me out.
Okay.
I have 5:30 on my thing, so whatever works for you.
I'll give you a reminder at 5:30, but you're welcome to stay as up until 5:45 or later. So,
Okay.
okay, hands from people. Matt.
So I just recently ran into an issue this week that kind of surprised me. I was working with the registrar because I did not administrative withdrawal. They told me yesterday that it could take up to 9 months to
For what?
process.
To show up on your transcript?
To process.
Interesting. Not generally, but
So
okay.
this is more my personal thing, but it shook me that, like, if mine's 9 months, what about other students? But just want to bring that to your attention.
And do you know, like, was it 9 months for it to be effective, 9 months to show up on your transcript, 9 months to
Well, I'll
process
talk
the
to you more
form?
about the personal aspects about it, but it's already been like 4 months.
Okay.
And I was just told it might take up to 9, and it's just in progress. I don't think anybody's even looked at it yet.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Okay. Sai?
Hey, thank you again for being here.
Sure.
My question, I'm not really sure if it touches your, area of expertise,
I
but
can take it to whoever it does.
I've been getting a lot of emails recently about password requirement changes
Yeah.
for like employees.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah, I can. So what you won't know, well, were any of you student employees before the pandemic? You've been around that long? So prior to the pandemic, the university required you to change your password every 3 months. And you also couldn't use any old passwords. So like you got to that point where you're like, how have I used all the passwords that I know? During the pandemic, they paused that because we were all working from home. And it actually was, there was a period of time where you could only change your password if you were connected to the Wi-Fi here. And then we instituted multi-factor authentication, our favorite thing in the world. And so that for a while was the solution that we needed for the cybersecurity issues, right? To prevent hacking. Every month, every semester, every year, the cyber threat gets more and more difficult at the institution. And so new password rules are going into effect because what we don't see because they're successful at preventing them, we get bombarded by cyber threats every day. I mean, you know, dozens, hundreds of whatever they call them, like pings, sort of hit the university's servers. And that's every university. It's not just MSU Denver. And so the worst thing is for one of those to get through, for someone to get access to our system and then take it down, which is what happened at Regis University 3 years ago. They had to start fall classes with paper and pencil, everything. Registration system, financial aid system, email was down. The entire online backbone of their institution was down. And so we have to work really hard to prevent that because it can be devastating. And we don't want any of your data to be stolen and used. And so I know it's annoying, but when you start to learn about the gravity of the cyber threats that are coming in, it just means we have to stay vigilant, and it's not fun. I am looking forward to my password changing because it's the same one I've had since 2019. And it's actually not easy to type in, and it takes me 5 times. Not because the computer is bad, but because I can't seem to remember how to type it. Like when the caps lock goes down and the number and all the stuff. So I'm looking forward to an easier password.
Hey.
And I've run out of grandmothers to use their names. So we'll see what happens.
This also might be a question that's a little bit outside of your exact specific scope, but I've had some conversation with students in my role as a student staff here on campus about financial aid and specifically like aid adjustments and being like, hey, I don't make as much money as I did in 2024.
Yeah.
And I've been told that that change can take upwards of 6 or like upwards of a semester or 6 months. And I was just curious if you could talk about like the reasoning why, or if there's anyone in financial aid that you could point me to.
Yeah, I do think any student who feels like something is wackadoodle with your financial aid, I really do. You're writing that word down, aren't you? Wackadoodle. If you feel like something is wrong with your financial aid, I do encourage you to go in person and sit down with one of the financial aid counselors, not one of the front desk students, but actually one of the full-time counselors, so that they can pull up your account and actually go over it with you. But what I'll say about the what's called income appeals is your FAFSA is always a year behind. Sometimes it's actually 2 years behind because it uses the tax data. So if like right now, if you filed your FAFSA, it would use your 2024 tax information, as you just said. If something changes, parent loses a job, you lose a job, there's an illness and you're out on disability, anything like that, you can file what's called an income appeal. It's an official document, and it has to go through not just our staff's vetting and approval, but there's a series of documents that have to be provided to the federal government. They don't review them, but they have to have them on file in case we are audited. We have to be able to show the paper trail of why we used our what's called professional discernment, I think is the word, to redo a student's income from the FAFSA, or not so much on CASFA, but for the FAFSA. So it can take quite a long time because it's a big form. There's a lot of documentation. There's usually back and forth to get the right documentation. Then we have to submit it to the feds and then recalculate things. So it's not sort of an automatic process, but it is available if people need to use it. So it's not simple and quick, but it can happen and it can work. And I do encourage people to use it if something does happen. But it's not like, you know, I got a new job and my income went down $1 an hour. Probably not going to see much impact from that. It's really meant for more devastating, life-changing stuff. One of the things that we did learn, and I think I can be transparent about this from the advisory board, when Michael and Megan came to visit, Michael was saying, you know, all of you, while we don't make sort of prior appointments, there are people that you can make an appointment with once you walk to the front desk and see someone. And every student in the room was like, no, we've never been told that. And we've been told that's not possible. And so it was an important moment for him to hear from students directly what their experience is, so he can go back to the staff and change it. So if you need an appointment, you can absolutely get an appointment with someone in financial aid.
Are there any hands on like this topic before I wanted to say that for financial aid, I've experienced that same thing, and you really just have to know who to email. You can't get one of the front desk people to make you an appointment, and that's not accessible to
We're going to work on
knowing who to email is hard, but
we're going to work on that because it should be a lot easier for you to be able to sit down. Financial aid is complicated, and I told my advisory board when I went back to get my doctorate, I had worked professionally in higher education for 15 years at that point. I at least 5 times over 3 years was like on the phone for an hour with financial aid, trying to understand like how to take out the right loans and get all the right paperwork and get set up for repayment. It's a complex process, and particularly for those of us with complex financial situations. I mean, imagine if you're emancipated, if it's not easy. So appreciate all of you.
we're gonna go online to Susanna.
Hi, Susanna.
Hi. I just wanted to also talk about, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before I continue. I just wanted to talk on that topic too, because I also feel like the financial department needs a lot of improving. I personally didn't know about the book counseling. I was also told that you won't gonna have a book counseling or wait for a phone call. And I went through similar phases through that, and my financial aid history obviously changes like rapidly, like you said. But those times, like me as a student who's heavily involved on campus, I just don't have the time to like go back and forth to like an advisor or someone at the office. And for me, it's just like a lengthy process. And for many students too, I just think like having this process super long could discourage students to continue going to school, and even ending up to the point of dropping out due of the process of how long it takes. I feel like that's just a consideration that should also be taken care of, because I know the front office students are students, and they are trained to say certain things, or they do the ability that they can to help students. But I feel like they should also be more students that have been trained more professionally to help to guide other students well, to direct them on what type of help they need.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I have spent quite a few hours on the phone lately with some large companies trying to deal with just stuff. And there is never anything more discouraging and frankly unacceptable than being told every time you call, well, you'll get a call back in 7 to 10 business days, and then no one ever calls you back, or you never hear anything. Or in the case of, I'm trying to get reimbursed for a car accident I had in Ireland, and the insurance is on my credit card. And they were like, you didn't use the credit card to pay the rental bill. And I was like, but I did. You got the statement. Like that stuff, right? Like just going the back and forth piece. And you want to know that the person who you work with the first time you call has the ability and agency to resolve your issue. We all know that chances are you're going to have to do that. Let me speak to your supervisor thing. And you're going to have to talk to their supervisor and their supervisor. And then one day, magically, you're going to find that one person who's like, oh yeah, I can do that for you. Done. That's not what we want here. And so I think there are some quality control issues with both the call center and the financial aid front desk. They do a really good job of training the students. As you can imagine, there's a lot of information that they have to hold. And they're busy students themselves. And so I think one of the things that we're really working with on is for the students to know when to hand off to a full-time counselor without y'all having to ask to do that. I think we're also looking at making the process of sort of resolving things on your own a lot easier. And I will say, I think that Workday platform is going to make just looking at your financial aid account a lot simpler so that it makes more sense when you log in and look at it. We're trying to do more communications so that we remind you to do things when it's time to do them. But at the end of the day, like I said, you need to be able to sit down with someone and know that that time is held for you and not have to sort of come back all the time. And so watch this space. It's a lot of work that we need to do to make it better. So I do appreciate the feedback. I would recommend, if this is something that y'all are hearing a lot from students about, which I imagine you are, Michael Wynn and Megan Schersberg would love to come talk to you about it. And so invite them in, let them do, particularly in January, February, after we're back, an update on sort of what improvements they have made. We also just did an external review of the enrollment call center. We haven't gotten the report yet, but that's having someone from the outside come in, interview people, lots of students were involved, and sort of give us some recommendations about what we should do differently.
Thank you. It's 5:31. I have 3 more counselor hands. Is that okay?
All right, I can go. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah, so that is something I did experience as well. So it was during the initial beginning of the semester back in August. I was on hold for about 3 hours
Yeah.
and they didn't pick up.
Yeah.
So that was something, and that was at a time that was very pressure, and I didn't know if I was gonna be able to come back. So,
Yeah.
you know, I had to take time, lost like about $200 because I didn't go to work, and I had to come in here to go talk in person, see if I can figure that out. But you know, that's neither here and there. But if that's something that could be addressed, definitely be interested in. But I had 2 questions. One was just following up with one of your updates regarding those evening classes are offered. Are those going to be like to all classes, or is it going to be specific courses? What kind of
Specific courses, all in CLAS.
Okay.
Probably all more on the lower division general studies level. I haven't seen the full list of them, but I think we really were trying to see, particularly general studies where we know a lot of students need to take those classes, what kind of demand is there. It's harder with the upper division classes because there's not as many students who need them and there's more choice in them, but yeah.
Right. And following up, so initially with regarding with the administrative withdrawals, I had one previously contact with the counseling center, and then they said they were able to take care of it. But then seems like it's been lost in communication as the counseling center was having issues contacting the care team, because initially that's where all administrative withdrawals came into about. Turns out care center said they didn't accept those anymore, and they talked to registrar. I talked to the care center. They had 2 of my appeals there, and they weren't able to attend them. They said, contact me. I haven't gotten contacted back. So I went to the registrar because the counseling center said they will file out for me. And they said they have no record of it. And that was back in May, and I did another one back in August. So.
And these are administrative withdrawal?
Yes. And I have the forms that my counselor was able to do. My concern is if there's any students that at the moment are feel pressured or feel overwhelmed with like certain things, you know, the counseling center is there to, you know, help out with that, be able to ease off of that. My concern is if it's not getting into the right place, and hearing it's a little bit more concerning hearing that it might take you up 9 months. Initially it says 3 months, but hearing that, you know, that's a lot of time and that's a lot of money that students might be losing on. Is there anyone who we can contact or see what can occur with that? Because it feels not much of a failure on the student's part, but more of the administration of that.
Yeah, the devil's in the details on any, specific case, but the fact that we're hearing repeated like administrative withdrawals take a long time and it's complicated says that there's an issue there. What I will say is, it's just important to keep a distinction that the registrar, the care center and the counseling center, they don't share information in that way. So the registrar is the only group that will process administrative withdrawals. And so every student who needs an administrative withdrawal has to take the form to the registrar's office. The backup documentation could come from the counseling center or a private physician, but it's the student's responsibility to take that document to the registrar's office. The care center is not usually involved in providing documentation. They are where student complaints are resolved, sort of the Dean of Students Office Care Center, where you file an appeal about a conduct issue or an academic appeal, and it goes beyond the dean in that college. Sometimes when things get complicated, when there's a lot of different parties involved, what I have seen is that we have to get someone to sort of just look at the whole thing holistically. One of the things that we are hoping to do on the enrollment side is a ticketing system. So like IT, if you've ever filed an IT issue here at MSU Denver, you get the ticket number and you can always follow up and look online. We want to get that for enrollment management as well. So you could file the thing and sort of see online, where is my administrative withdrawal form in it, because we definitely don't want lost forms where we're relying on you to check every 2 weeks. But it is something that we're working on.
Okay. If we wanted to invite someone to talk to us about that, would it be like Megan, Connie, Taylor, Sonia Falcon, and who is it?
I would probably encourage you to have Taylor and Connie Sanders, the registrar, talk to you about administrative withdrawals, because they do oftentimes. They're processed by the register, but there's a lot of, if you look at the administrative withdrawal policy, the documentation that students need, a lot of times that documentation is going to come either from Taylor's area or be evaluated by someone in Taylor's area.
Thank you. We're going to move on to, I'm next in the queue.
Oh, hi.
I wanted to ask you, I had a student come to me this week asking about places to nap on campus.
Yeah.
And I have learned from my investigation after they brought this to me that CU Denver has convenient places designated for napping in their health and wellness building.
Love that.
The Lola and Rob Sounds.
Yeah.
Building. And I wondered if MSU has any spaces like that, and or if it's like permitted to just sleep in the Tivoli, or to sleep nap in the
yes and no. Well, first of all, let me say I see a lot of students napping in their cars. And I would please don't do that. I'm worried about asphyxiation and stuff in there. I would much rather have you like sleeping in one of our nice warm buildings than in your car. I also don't want you eating in your cars or doing your homework in your cars. Like the number of people when you walk through the parking garage during the middle of the day who are just sitting in their cars, like we don't have enough butt space on this campus is really what I'm trying to say. So all that to say is no. There's no policies that say you can't sleep. And then I see a lot of people on the second floor in those velvet boxes sleeping there. A lot of student employees will take a nap on a couch in someone's office. We have a couch in the student affairs office. If you ever need a nap, you're welcome to come in and just crash. Let me put it this way. Similar to a few years ago when we expanded reflection rooms and lactation spaces, if you would like to make an effort to think about sort of down spaces for students, I think that would be a phenomenal project. I think, I've seen everything from nap pods, and I'm curious if that's what CU Denver has, is like those pods where I see them in the airport. Sometimes you like get in and pull down the door in front of you. And they have like a timer on them and so I'm certainly happy to have that conversation. I think AHEC would be happy to have that conversation. What I will say though is, ACP does walk around. Sometimes, if a building's getting ready to close or it's the evening, they will wake people up and ask them to move. And sometimes they'll check just to make sure the person's truly taking a nap and something else isn't going on. We want everybody to be safe and healthy. But yeah, I love to have that chat. I like a nap.
Thank you. Okay, we're going on to Matt.
Yeah, so I just noticed today that some of the Tivoli Reimagined stuff seems to be happening with the advising or the
Peer mentoring,
peer mentoring moving.
different
and
project.
Different projects.
So
then?
not related to Tivoli
Okay.
Reimagined, but I can tell you about that project.
Cool. Well, my first point was making sure that we're not on the checklist to be moved around ourselves.
Well,
But
I
would
did
love
want
to
to
hear
tell
about the
you,
project as well.
but we're moving you to Brighton. The whole TSAC, we just got tired of you and we're gonna stick you an hour away. No, so what was really going on was these are all moves that I initiated. So a couple of things over the last 2 years. The Auraria recovery community has really grown. I think there are over 1,600 students now, and they have been asking for a space pretty consistently. We also need office space for our housing staff before the building and the offices open in fall 2027, because we're hiring up the staff that will create the housing program. Also, the AVP of Wellbeing, Health and Wellbeing, Steve Z, and his staff, they didn't have permanent office space. Also, the LGBT Center, for those of you who've been in it, it's tiny. Well, it's not tiny anymore, but it was tiny. They didn't have great space. It also had some accessibility issues with the space between the desk and the door opening. And so I'd been sitting with how do I resolve these issues? And so there's a bit of a domino happening right now. The peer mentoring program has moved to the 3rd floor of this building with the C2 hub. And they will then in fall 27 move to the new C2 hub in the new Summit House building on the 2nd floor. That opened up that large corner space next to the computer lab for the LGBT Center. So they'll have a grand opening for that in the spring semester. They're just moving their stuff over now. The health and well-being team, Steve Z and Laura, will move into what was the LGBT Center. And they have a lot of students who work with them on marketing PR around health promotion. And so that gives the students some space to work out of. And then the Auraria recovery community will take over, I believe it's 2-something. It's the space where Campus Rec had been while the Campus Rec offices were being redone last year, 2nd floor of the Tivoli. So there'll be an Auraria recovery lounge over there. And then the space that had been for camp, the College Assistance Migrant Program, our housing officers will work out of there until fall 27. And so it was just one of those opportunities to move a few things around, pretty low impact and low cost to sort of let everybody get something that we desperately needed to do. But it is not part of the Tivoli Reimagine, and we kept the cost down because Tivoli Reimagine could move all those programs again, and so we didn't want to spend a lot of money and then spend a lot of money. So it's just trying to maximize space, use it more efficiently and effectively.
Wonderful. Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Next counselor hand is going to be Will. Oh,
It's actually related to this conversation. I just want to know if you have any information whether the Veterans Office is moving.
No, not right now.
Okay.
But keep in mind, Tivoli Reimagine, everything could move in the Tivoli.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
But we don't have any firm plans on that or any firm money to enact those firm plans.
Okay.
So it's very preliminary on Tivoli Reimagine. So Vet Center staying put for now.
All right. Thank you.
It's not my favorite space. It's definitely bigger than where they were 6 years ago.
Yep.
They were split across, I think, 3 different spaces, but that kitchen in the middle just.
It's perfect.
Okay. All right. But you got new furniture.
We did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't pay for it. Thank Jonathan.
Maria?
Yeah, I have a question about what the process was like for shutting down the JSSB law.
So our Chief Operating Officer, Leanne Bakinski, who supervises facilities and planning, design, construction, and sort of campus operations. She looked at the lawn and it definitely needed, grass work and lots of effort. She did go to senior staff. I took it to all of my associate vice presidents for feedback on the schedule and the process. We did give feedback. Unfortunately, there's no good time of year to take an entire lawn offline, but it is really normal on many campuses that you rotate sort of which lawns. You have to let them rest for a little while so you can reseed them, let the grass get stronger. I think there's going to be some new irrigation work in there in the spring semester, which means we can't use it for a period of time.
We have a discussion about this on our agenda today, so this is actually wonderful that this came up. I have a small follow-up, and then I saw Patrick's hand. But so for this decision to reseed the lawn, and you said that Ms. Bokinski realized that it needed to be done and talked to you, and you talked to your AVPs, and that's sort of how the decision came to let's go ahead and do this now. Did you ask your AVPs to reach out to their respective people below them to sort of get input and feedback on that?
Yeah. And again, like I said, there's no good time to do it. So there were a lot of problems with it. It meant we had to move a lot of things, but there's never a good time to do it. So I think you, Stephen, you probably saw it. Did you not see it and give feedback? We can talk we need to. But the hope was that people at the departmental level gave that feedback. Yeah. I did see the feedback that was going through, and it was things like, this time of year is really not great because that's the space where we do this event. And just like we've got the Christmas market because the Civic Center is being redone, we'll have to do some things probably on the Tivoli Quad or somewhere else because that lawn needs some work. And then, but I am not the expert on this. Leanne Bakinski is. Yeah. And so I would encourage you to ask specific questions to her.
I would, for one, love to see MSU Denver try to help subsidize the cost of 9th Street lawn renting out, especially for student orgs, since they can't rent out free space from facilities. I'll go to Patrick.
Oh, is that the root of the issue?
The root of the issue is that that's a free space for students and it's for MSU students. And so 9th Street is paid and Quad is paid, and that's sort of my biggest qualm. But I think we'll talk about that later when you're not here. But
well, I think that's an important clarification, because I was thinking y'all were upset about not being consulted, which you might be.
That's it.
But that knowing that what the rub is that the events that you used to be able to do on the lawn for free, you're now having to pay to use 9th Street or some other space. I will take that because I think there could be either a negotiation with AHEC or maybe we need to come up with another solution. And so if you would help me circle back to that, particularly if last year we could get a list of all the events that happened on the lawn so that we could know what kind of financial impact we're talking to try to hold our groups from this.
Patrick, did you still have yours?
Yeah, mine was similar, but it's pretty much answered. It was just the issues how can we do for organizations, especially the student orgs here. A lot of them have to do fundraising just to get the money that they have to do events. Just really seeing who can we talk to make sure that there's a space that students can go to while having continue being on campus.
Well, and let me take that up a level because I think you've identified a really serious issue at MSU Denver is that we do not have enough money for student organizations here. Our student org budget is 200 and some thousand for the year? Not even that, 80,000 for the year? Okay, 80,000 for the year for all student organizations. Do you want to know what my budget was in 1997 for one student organization? 40,000 for one student organization. So that just gives you a sense of it's also 30 years later, which is really awful when I say that out loud. We don't have enough money. The root of that problem is in 2010, when the state slashed higher ed funding so that we didn't have to do massive layoffs, they moved a lot of staff from base budget to the fees. So a lot of folks in Stephen's office, a lot of folks in the care center type offices were moved into SAB. That means a lot of the SAB funds are spent on people, which is not money that you can move around very easily.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of programming dollars left at the institution. Now there's some solutions for that. We downsize other spaces and stop paying for things so that we can upsize. That's assuming the pie doesn't get bigger. The other is to grow the pie by increasing the fee. And so I would, which isn't a great solution either. And so I would really encourage you, particularly for those of you who are doing the SAB work, I think TSAC should grapple with this. Like, this is a real issue at MSU Denver that we want to grow the campus engagement and have more people doing more things, which we know will help retention. We know that will help recruitment, but we have limited resources to do that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm not in charge.
Did you still?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I can save you.
I think something that I just thought of, if that's the case, it's a big issue. Are there any ways that the university can help these student organizations fundraise? Maybe helping them have certain events, maybe certain spaces that, or resources that students can talk to. Of course, the CMI is always there, and there's always helpful with Tony and everything. But aside of that, is there anything that we could do in order to look for?
I love that question, and I will look to Stephen to help us sort of identify stuff. And I will say, I would like to live in a world where you don't have to do that, right? I think there's a difference between where we are now, and I sort of want to ask you what your student org budget was at Colorado Springs, because I'm sure it was much larger than ours. There you go. So I feel like there's a where we are now, there's a where we probably should be, and the fundraising should be on top of that, right? It should be we're healthy enough, but we want to do interesting things, new things, and so we do interesting fundraising. I don't think you should have to fundraise selling cupcakes just so you can afford to have a meeting, right? So there's some stuff that we've done over time, like trying to make the classrooms, particularly in this building, more available for event usage so that you're not paying a rental fee to use a classroom in this building for a meeting or for an event. I think using the JSSB lawn, people didn't used to do that, so I hadn't put 2 and 2 together there. So I think the near-term solution is let's try to resolve the thing that was taken away, which was the lawn, so that you're not being even more hurt. Let's continue to find ways to maximize the funding that you've got through free resources and other things. Collaboration is always great because it stretches the dollar. And then I really do think we've got to have a conversation about how do we get more funds to student organizations.
Absolutely. Some of our big orgs will use their entire $4,000 in club funding in one trip because of how big they are. But yeah. I want to thank you for coming out here.
My pleasure.
We love having you. Look forward to seeing you next month, hopefully. Never know.
Next month is January.
Yes, it is.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah, next year.
I had to do it.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
For the record, seriously, thank you for the work that you do. It's really important. This council takes this work extremely seriously, which we appreciate. You ask great questions. It's also fun. I get to see you once a month, and so I get to see how the culture has evolved. And I can tell that you're getting into a groove of how stuff gets done. So congratulations. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we are a few minutes over. Me and Patrick did give a lot of time for announcements and updates, so I hope we can still have fruitful updates today. I am going to pass off the presiding chair to Patrick for this section. I'm experiencing a minor medical episode, and I'm going to step outside. So thank you for Patrick.
Yeah. Everything feels well. All right, let's move forward with our section 4 of the meeting. I'll begin with our staff members. I would like to Stephen take it off, please.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, congratulations. You've almost made it through the semester. One more week. Very exciting. I have a few announcements for everyone. I do want to share that if you all want to have a more in-depth conversation at our retreat or training over the winter, about, let's say, student organization issues, I think that's a perfect time to talk about that. I know that you all are looking at some other things. I will say that, to Will's point, student organization funding, that is, I think that can be a very fruitful discussion for all of us. So, and I have some thoughts that I'm willing to share with you all at that time. For now, a few reminders. First of all, our winter training. Please remember that winter training is going to be a Friday and a Saturday, so it'll be a day and a half. We're going to start on January 9th. We'll start in the afternoon. That is really going to be the first part for delegates. You'll all probably come in maybe midway through, and we'll do some work with them to collaboratively, and then we'll all have dinner as a council, delegates and counselors, that first day. And then the second day, the 10th, that's going to be more of a full day type situation. There is an item on the agenda today to talk a little bit more than that. Susanna is going to be leading that, so I'll yield to her at that time for that. But I just wanted to remind you all, winter retreats, January 9th, January 10th. Please let me know if you have any issues with that. Second item, you will all see a flyer placed between you all, around you all. The university is looking at starting a new tradition on campus, that being late night breakfast. What's really exciting about this is that this really complements the work you are all doing for Food for Final. So not only are we giving students food in the morning, but the university is providing food at night. However, again, TSAC, with how graded you are doing it 2 days. This is just 1 day. So here's the scoop on this one. This event will be held on the JSSB first floor, 5 to 7 p.m. December 8th. That is next Monday. There will be a variety of food options. Bless you, Steffi. That is not related to the late night breakfast, but to her work with Food for Finals. So there will be really good food. Senior leaders will be serving the food out. There will be some small games and things like that that folks can go to. I encourage you all to come. They are allowing for families. So if you have kids, family members at home, significant others, partners that you want to bring to this, I think that is fine. There is a QR code on here for more information. So again, please do click on that QR code. I also believe there is an RSVP in there. There might not be. Do not quote me on that. But just know this is happening next Monday. I will be there. I hope to see you all there as well. Food for Finals. Steffi, I sent you a bunch of instructions. Let me know if you have any issues with that. Happy to help you with that. I'm sorry I couldn't connect with you yesterday.
It's all good. I was busy all last night and then this morning, so I'll probably look into it tonight.
Okay.
If I run into any issues, I'll let you know.
Just let me know.
Mhm.
Okay. Other things to know. I posted something in the chat earlier today. Will very confidently answered, and I just want to verify to the entire group that our first meeting, so we moved meetings again to Mondays from 3:30 to 5:25. There you go, Sai. When is our first meeting? We've talked about doing sort of a potential meeting during the retreat or during the training. Will that be our first meeting, or did I hear us say there is going to be a meeting Monday the 12th? I don't recall that. So I'm asking for your feedback here.
Yeah, just a response. If I recall, we did decide on doing a Monday the 12th, just do a timing schedule because that was one of the available times that we all had. Yeah, so
Okay.
That helps.
I might be incorrect, but I thought we had decided on the 16th. That's December. It's a Friday, because that was discussion around my schedule possibly being a problem, but classes haven't started yet, so the 16th would be fine. I don't remember if that's the case, so I'm happy to be corrected, but that's what I thought it was.
William.
If we do have doubts, we do have minutes. So instead of going back and forth, I just suggest we pull up the minutes to
Yeah.
double check.
If it's possible, Keith, if you pull up the meeting minutes while we continue our updates.
You can pull up the minutes. I still have a couple other updates that I want to share with everyone. It was the 13th, yeah. Again, while you look for that, I have a few things.
It was the 16th.
Oh, we've confirmed it, Keegan. Don't worry about it. It was the 16th. Okay, thank you. So we will then have that meeting. Sai, do you remember that time? Was it the 3 to 5 time range? Do we change it?
3. I'm not sure.
Okay, we can address that later. I just wanted to verify. So it is January 16th, our first technical meeting. Okay. Last two things from my end. We'll mention the SAB process. So TSAC has a role with the SAB process. What I am planning to do is I'm going to meet with Irvi to talk about what that process is. And based on that conversation, I'm happy to come to a budget meeting, a budget committee meeting, and work with you all to help you all decide, or well, not help you all decide, you all can decide that, what you are going to put forth and how that presentation is going to work. Typically, it's always been TSAC members who have presented. I have always been there just for support or clarifications, but typically I want students to present from TSAC. I do not want to present that on your behalf. So the budget committee can decide that. Irvi and I are going to talk first. She can pull all that together. There are some due dates for SAB. So budget committee members, just as an FYI, there may be some things coming out. Last thing I want to share with you all, and I think this is really important. You may have heard there was an incident in DC on last week. And so there is a great deal of uncertainty and anxiety right now regarding some of the changes that are coming out of DC, specifically from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Department. It is making some decisions that are controversial. Right now, Immigrant Services is hosting a town hall on Wednesday, December 10th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Featuring immigration attorney Kelly Ryan of the Ryan Immigration Group. They're going to talk about some of the concerns and questions. Specifically, what does the recent announcements from USCIS mean? What should folks from impacted countries do now? How are pending asylum, permanent resident, naturalization applications impacted? What are the best next steps? And then your questions and your concerns. I have the email. I do believe Dr. Barone may have put the flyer in the chat, so you all have that. This is a really important thing. I think TSAC should have a strong showing with this. This is really important. So again, it is next Wednesday, December 10th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It is a virtual town hall Q&A. Again, if Dr. Barone didn't put that information, I saw a chat message come through. I have that. I'm happy to send it to you all. Matt's giving me the thumbs up. With that, I yield my time.
I'll hand it back the chairship to Scott.
Thank you, Patrick. I also wanted to, I have a point on that. I wanted to say, from what I've seen, I think, I believe the federal government is really going after anyone from Afghanistan. And I think that it's really important to consider the immense racism and and bigotry that comes out of that, and thinking about how we can support our Afghan students. So just one big thing there. Where are we at? Dr. Barone. Also, I want to say thank you for Dr. Barone for being here. I know you have something to do after our meeting today and you're in transit. So if you can speak now, that'd be wonderful. If not, we could absolutely find a better time for you during our update section.
No, I'm good. Actually, Stephen gave a lot of great updates. I did put the flyer in the chat, so you all should have access to that as well. And Stephen has it in email, and so do I if you need it that way. But it should be in the chat. Please encourage those who you think would benefit or who have family members who would benefit from that. And just really thankful for our leadership within our immigrant services program and Gregor and his team to really be responsive to the needs right now, because this is really terrible what's happening. So thank you for sharing this with students and those who you think are impacted. On a lighter note, I want to give what is it? I guess I want to celebrate Stephen right now. Today, Stephen received an award, a Bravo Award from our entire branch, I guess, Enrollment and Student Affairs, in terms of his leadership and his contributions. He's only been here 1 year, and in that short time, he's just done really phenomenal work around student engagement and belonging and community building. He does it in TSAC, but he does it everywhere. You all see Stephen running around all the time, right? Doing really great work with Convocation, expanding Welcome Week to Welcome Month, giving us 7 weeks of, onboarding and engagement programming at the beginning of fall and doing it in the spring again. The RAD concert. I mean, I can give so many examples. So he's doing all that while he's advising TSAC and doing a lot of other things in terms of leadership around the institution. And his colleagues recognized him for that today. And so I just really want to celebrate Stephen's leadership and contributions. So if you all can please give Stephen, I'm sorry I'm not there, but a round of applause for me.
My advisor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barone.
Of course. We got to celebrate each other, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So wanted to offer that because I know he does a lot for all of you too, but he's an amazing addition to our team and just really proud of him. And we also had another team member from CMEI who was celebrated, Ni Dang, who many of you also probably know for her work in leading and really starting up the API programming for our Asian Pacific Islander students and just doing a really phenomenal job setting up that programming down in Tivoli 129, but doing just some really wonderful work around building that community and belonging there. So yeah, I had a proud moment today of my team. So just wanted to share that with you all. And then the other thing, we already talked about ISP and the work that they're doing there. I don't have a whole ton to share because Stephen talked about a lot of it, other than I'm just really proud of this group and how you all have really come together as a team and found ways to work across, difference and share your opinions and be respectful and just show up, in really important ways and really show leadership and invest in our students and getting our students involved and the delegate program. I mean, there are lots of other ways that I want to just acknowledge you all for the great work that you're doing. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. And really glad that you all are going to get a break for a few weeks here soon. So I will definitely be around and see you all over the next few weeks. I'll be running around too, like a real road runner. Now you all know why that we're called that. But thank you all for everything. No more from me. I know we don't have as much time on the agenda, but thank you. And I'm sorry I can't be there. I am doing some holiday things with my kids tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barone. Can I also ask that you send that document you sent as a file in our chat because we can't access that SharePoint link?
I will do that.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any other staff folks? Keegan.
Hey guys, what's up? So a couple of things. Firstly, please stop leaving like piles of paper on my desk with like nothing else attached to it. Like you guys, I don't know who's doing this. You just like leave stacks of like flyers or other papers just on my desk and I get really confused. I'm like, do you want me to put these up? Do you want me to like hand these out to people? Like, I don't know. So please just like put a sticky note on the paper, like if you want something done with it. If not, please don't put it on my desk. Also, the stapler and tape dispenser, please return those to the EA desk. I'm not trying to like gatekeep the tape or staples, but it's just like someone takes it, puts somewhere, someone else takes it, and I can't find them, and I need them quite a bit, so that would be very helpful. And other than that, I think it's it. Yeah, just please make sure that if you're gonna leave something with me, I know what to do with it because a lot of paper in a lot of places.
Thank you. I will try to keep that in mind, and I bet everyone else will too. Okay, I think that's our 3 staff folks. So I think we're gonna move on to standing committees. I'll see standing committee folks that want to give updates. Let's go to Maria. I was like, wait, what? Sorry. Also, let's count the ad hoc committees and the standing committees because they're sort of like an internal committee. So internal committees. So any ad hoc committees and standing committees. We'll go to Matt.
For accountability, we met yesterday. We have a game plan on addressing our guidelines procedures, and we're going to be scheduling some time over the break to get some of that done. For the training ad hoc committee, we're also going to be over the break making some of those trainings, both for the training day event and also even past that, just to make sure that both counselors and delegates have the training that they need.
What is rest, right?
It's for the wicked.
I wanted to ask you guys, do you have an open call for members to join your committee right now, or are you guys content with you guys being the appointed chairs? And no more
I'm
members?
open to other people joining. In fact, I think it would be helpful even if somebody thinks they don't have an expertise in helping this. Could also help us by not having that expertise.
I really want to invite us new folks, me included, to at least give input even if you don't have capacity to sort of join the committee, because I know that we've had some of the hardest time figuring out how to do resolutions and how to really ensure that we're trained up in things, and also thinking about our summer transition and stuff too. But it's just my personal invitation. Okay, other standing committee. Sorry, Steffi, please go.
I can give an update on behalf of PR. So our biggest event is happening next week, Food for Finals, next Monday from 8 to 11 and Tuesday 8 to 11. And as you guys have seen the flyers, we will be providing the goodie bag, breakfast burritos from Molinos, coffee and orange juice station and yogurt station, and waffles. I want to thank anybody who helped make the goodie bags. Thank you for that. Those are all made and good to go for next week. And thank you for everybody who signed up and will be tabling next week. We have a good amount of hands for next week. So we're all good to go for that. And I guess looking at spring semester, we will have the student commuter breakfast, which will be January 22nd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that will complement Welcome Week that CMEI is doing. We will be at the Tivoli Tavern, that little area, and we will be giving out like small breakfast, which will be like donuts, coffee, hot chocolate, hot milk, those things, right? I will send out a when to meet link, so people can like sign up if you can. I would rather send it like right now before like we all do our thing. Before we go in our break, so people people know there's that event going on. But if I'm missing if anybody else wants to add from PR, if I'm missing anything.
Give it. Susanna.
Hi, I just want to say that Steffi basically covered everything. I'm just gonna talk more about Food for Finals later on in my discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, PR. Other standing committees. Is it just me left? Oh, it's budget and me left. So I'll go next. So I wasn't able to give an adequate update because I was online last week. I wanted to, for sustainability, I also want to say we had some really successful things happen in November. We tabled with lots of student engagement for AHA Week and just other events that were happening. We also had an immigration and your rights training with between 30 and 40 participants, I want to say. which I think is a really good turnout, especially because that space only held 50 people. So we did really good. And I look forward to having more. Also, on our budget side of things, I also want to say that we are very much under budget on our events that we had. We authorized up to $500 for the Immigration Know Your Rights training. And because we had an outside org donate the food for the event, we actually were much under budget and spent less than $200. So I think that's really cool, being really fiscally responsible with the student fee dollars. As well as for the tabling, we were also a little bit under budget too, and for AHA Week in general. So very exciting. The clothing drive was really successful. We had upwards of 100 articles of clothing donated, and we matched upwards of 100 as well. And we're under budget for that too, which is really exciting. Okay. Irby.
No major updates from my side, but I would say we need more time for a budget reallocation. I don't think we would be able to do it next week, so we would like to move it to the winter break. But whatever you have any expenses, we would be happy to write a resolution on that for winter retreat.
I want to clarify that because some of the budget folks had a conversation about that. So we don't think we're able to reallocate into Leadership Development Fund for you to then be able to spend for our training. We would love to communicate with you on how much money you think you need for our winter training and try to get a resolution written just to pre-authorize that for us to eventually clarify the fund. So,
yeah.
Direct follow-up. In SharePoint, you will go to the training folder and you will see a proposed budget for you all. So have fun. Enjoy.
Sorry,
Please don't be too harsh on me.
I forgot to tell you guys that I have already received Steven's proposal this morning.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Irby. Any other budget members that have any update on the budget side of things?
My vice chair might have any.
No major updates. We're just gonna be looking on that, making sure we get all that authorized, making sure we're going the right avenue. So
wonderful. I wanted to ask, and I'm sorry I didn't ask you earlier because I'm a member, so I could just text you, but do we have updated currently all of the different fund managers' receipts sent in, and is like all the receipts currently accounted for with some buffers on currently, or do we need to make sure our fund managers are doing better at that, me included?
I think so far I'm good with all the receipts I've got. I just need for Food for Finals receipts that are that's on hold. So I think I'm okay with the receipts.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Okay. Then Chairs Committee, do we have anything big?
It's gonna be a long discussion for this one. It's just a lot to impact, but hopefully it's gonna be very productive. So the majority of our time will be allocated to there. So just a little epilogue to it. Just make sure everyone to keep in mind that we're all here with our diverse perspectives and our voices. So feel free to elaborate or maybe add any comments or whatever. Biggest thing here is that we're just trying to make sure that as a council, we are able to work a lot more efficiently and be on the same page. So other than that, no major conflicts or anything like that.
Wonderful. I want to, from my perspective on side of things, state that I really want to make sure that all counselors know that they can reach out to me in my capacity as the co-chair here. And any conversations you want to have to me, feel free to send me a DM on Teams or an email to reach out to see how I could better serve in this capacity as a counselor and also as a one of the chairs here to make sure I'm supporting my co-counselors in our interactions. Just know that that door is open.
Ditto.
Okay, seeing nothing more on the standing. Did you have a question for our committee? Okay, moving on to advisory committees. Your hand was first. We'll go to Will.
Quick update on the delegate interview committee. We've had some very good and strong candidates so far. Very happy. We've done a lot of work on that. Thank you, Rowan and Susanna. And we will be closing those the applications for this end of week. So we have, correct me if I'm wrong, Susanna, we have 9 applicants, correct, so far? I know I spoke to one that's potentially putting theirs in later today. So it might be 10, but I'm thinking about like, we have 9. Okay, thank you. So we have 9 applicants, so that's higher than the max amount. So that makes it competitive. That's perfect. That's what we want. And yeah, so we'll be trying to present that list to TSEC next week with the people we think are strongest for TSEC. Yeah. Any questions?
Wonderful.
End of this week, so tomorrow or?
Yeah, we're gonna close it by yes, Susanna?
Thank you. I was gonna mention it more during open floor, but yeah, just to answer that question, we are closing application this week, just because we do need to finalize everything for next week, that we don't have to struggle with it during our winter break, and also that the delegates can know on advance of time when the winter retreat is gonna be at.
To answer Patrick's question, yes, we will be closing it tomorrow. That way the committee can work on the next steps tomorrow and not have to work into the weekend, because I don't want to, we shouldn't be asking that of the committee members personally. I'm not comfortable asking that. So yes, we will close it by tomorrow, end of day. Thank you, Patrick.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other things for the ad hoc delegate interview committee? Oh, Keegan.
Do we, sorry, just because we were talking about editing the like document earlier, do we want to add a separate kind of, I don't know, line on the back sheet for the delegate interview committee, or just leave it?
My personal opinion on this is that because of its such temporary nature, that I don't see the need to, but if that's something council wants or you want, I'd be happy to, make sure we can work together to get that to happen. Is that any strong opinions?
Yeah,
I personally don't care. I think it's very temporary and it's just adding more work when it's just by the end of the semester, it'll be poof, gone.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hopefully.
Did you still have? Okay, wonderful. We're moving on. Any other or any advisory committees? Let's go to Faye.
So this is from Faculty Senate APC. A couple of things happening coming this spring. So there's a preview of the possible integration of Canvas Ignite AI, which is LLM features into Canvas. There's also a graduation process that is being proposed, and then the administrative withdrawal policy is actually going to be updated. So very interested to hear any other testimonials if anyone wants me to bring those back to APC or send an email, as I will not be able to attend come the meeting. The next meeting for this for this body is January 21st, which is useful for the discussion later.
Was that Faculty Senate?
That was Faculty Senate 8.
Okay. Well, I also want to add, because I attended Faculty Senate for Fayoshe and I haven't had a chance to update you. So I want to give a small update. Faculty Senate is starting to consider these academic policies now. I know we're still on a freeze, but they're sort of starting the process for the next session after the freeze is over. So there are a couple policies going before them very soon. And so we do need to fill that spot as soon as possible to get student input. They also deal directly with students. One of them is setting a maximum number of credits that can be transferred by a graduate student from one graduate program here to another, and just giving any sort of input that might come up is a good idea. Faye.
To the clarifying point, I am able to attend Faculty Senate as a full body. It is specifically the Faculty Senate APC that I'm not able to.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay. Did you have something pressing?
Yes, I think we need to add or like figure this out by the end of like our next meeting at the minimum. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Patrick.
Yeah, so for Typically Reimagine, we met yesterday online. So it seems like they're finalizing the program and the program plan that they're going to be using. They're engaging a lot more in structural and MEP feedback that they have. Just the initial program is going to begin in January. It's going to be a document. There is going to be a town hall here on campus on the 27th of January. It's going to be in person. It's going to be here in the Tivoli. And Biggest thing here is that just a few updates of what's really going on is that there's a winter floor plan. They expanded the skylight within the center. They're hoping to add new windows. A lot of it's going to be over here on 9th Street. Seeing as there's a lot more foot traffic between Lawrence and 9th Street, they want to target that a lot more so students feel a lot more available. As it is right now, they're planning to have the student lounge, food court, beverages, Starbucks potentially to be in there in that same space. Biggest thing here, something that came up within that meeting as well, something that you mentioned, Matt, was about the movement about different offices and different organizations. As is right now, there's obviously going to be like some things we can't move. For example, the quad, the brewery, that's something that's really isn't feasible to move or shouldn't be to move. It should stay where it is. However, everything else really is up in the floor. Nothing too major on that. So yeah, that's all I have. Next meeting we're gonna have is on the 12th of January. And yeah, so if there's any things that particular things that we want to add to that, I'm more welcome to let me know right now so I can say that and use our voice. Matthew. Actually, no, I'm not sure.
Matthew.
Sorry.
So this was for Tivoli Reimagined?
Pardon?
Or what was your update for again? Tivoli Reimagined?
Yes.
Okay. See, I do have a question. Why is CU Denver taking over more and more of the Tivoli? For instance, the Tivoli Underground is only referenced on CU Denver's website, not even on AHAC's website. So that already makes this space that is not welcoming to CU or CCD or MSU Denver students. And they already still control the whole annex. And they're excluding other students.
Yes. So as of right now, for a Tivoli Reimagine specifically, that's something that a lot of individuals were having with, making sure that all universities had the same amount of space shared out throughout. They have like making sure there's spaces for the offices, making spaces for organizations, and also for students to be there. Very political answered questions that they answered over there. As far as currently, I have any references I can mention to, but if that's something that we need to fight, I'll definitely speak to whoever I can to figure that out.
I'm gonna go next, and then I'm gonna go to Will. I used to be one of the representatives for this advisory committee, and I want to say I think that TSAC should organize a little more around this project, and not only reporting back what happens in the committee, but also in actively giving input into it and more input into it, especially because they're still having town halls and still getting things in it. I try to stay current on it because I'm still able to see the documents in it, and so I try to stay current on it and kind of look at it because the Tivoli is a really important space for students, and I'll still be here when it's finished. I really want to see like about half of the changes they want to do happen. So, and I think that there are other counselors that agree with me and many other students that agree with me on that space, and that we can use our capital money, the money we request from the state, for capital construction projects for other projects that better benefit students. And so I think that we should start considering maybe even the creation of additional members to the advisory committee to like sort of meet together and start talking about like planning something, and or the council writing like a resolution after examining it. That would take a lot of time, but just something that I think we should. Then, Will, did you still have a?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I've been hearing some concerning things coming from that committee, from some individuals in the committee, student advocates, and it definitely seems like a lot of student input is being disregarded. For how should I phrase this? Politically correct.
We don't need politically correct here. It's okay, Will.
Larger than life corporations that will take precedent or more importance than students once they're in there and have used their money to finance the new Tivoli. That is not at all what the Tivoli should be. It's a student union. The students come first.
I'm going to recognize that we have 2 minutes left in this section. I'm going to give the advisory committee representatives a chance to respond to anything that's been said. And then if we want to talk about this more, we can add it as a discussion to our next meeting. Patrick?
Yeah, that's something that I was concerned about as well, attending the meeting. It seems like it's more of paying attention to the surveys that the students have provided and the information that we've given. As far as direct, it seems it's like, let me listen and then let's move on. So if that's something that we can probably get together, me and Sai, we've been talking about it, seeing the like potential solution, but definitely if it's something that a lot more people are also feeling that same way, I think that's something that we should definitely take on and definitely respond to. Because an issue also that everyone's having is that there isn't a price on it. No one knows how much it's gonna be. So it's like everyone's just putting their fantasy in it. So, it's like, how can we move on from there? There's been questions going back and forth. That's something the committee itself has been asking to. And it's something that I feel it is imperative for us as students and with our needs to be answered.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Matt. We are going to move on. Other advisory committees, I'm going to go next to UPAC. This also kind of crosses over with almost every committee here because everyone talks about policies. But so in UPAC, we have sent a policy for public comment. It's the data governance policy. I think that sounds very boring to most students. If you're a nerd for data governance, please give public comments. I also want to clarify that data governance governs how our data gets stored and protected from the public view. And I think that is an important thing. I know there's capacity issues, but if you could go on to their website, just go to UPAC on MSU Denver's website and give public comments on that, even if it's very brief or very short, about anything that you think and if it might need to be changed or different. They would really appreciate that. I would really appreciate that to have more input, or you can come talk to me as I represent us in that space. Okay, unless you have questions for me, other advisory committees. Let's go to Maria.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be quick, but I have an update from the shared governance. We recently got a request for someone who claimed that there's a lot of staff that want to open Ignite AI on Canvas, but that would allow them to grade our things, to also write a syllabus, AI to grade our things, write a syllabus, do all these kinds of things. But ultimately, in the end, shared governance pointed them to Faculty Senate Academic Policy Committee, specifically because this aligns with the Section 5 statement. So we just pointed them to them. I did let them know that I didn't think it was fair for staff to be able to use AI, and there is no guidelines for staff. But for students there is, and yeah.
I'm going to respond to that because I also think it overlaps with something I forgot in the Faculty Senate meeting from yesterday. Faculty Senate just did an entire survey where they had 2,300 students respond to it, which is a large percentage for surveys. I wish our surveys got that many people. And about AI and about AI incorporation, how people use it, how people don't use it, and how that should look at the university. Also discussed in Faculty Senate was this like, there is a push from the president's office for us to use AI more. This is something that I've seen in the president's cabinet meetings. There's a big push from the president for more AI use in the name of efficiency. In Faculty Senate, one of the biggest topics of conversation was the question of, what does efficiency mean for students? Is it efficient to learn, or is it efficient to finish the class and get a grade, which could often mean less learning? Also, what does efficiency mean at a university? And because efficiency is typically just like a big corporation concept of like, how much time and work hours can we pay to get the same results? And so I think we need to balance efficiency. I also want to let you know that in Faculty Senate, this was discussed too, is that the provost is really representing faculty in this space and sort of helping a little bit of pushback from the president's office. And weird bit of governance at the university is that the president and the provost are of similar statuses, because the provost is like an executive vice president and has a lot more control than other vice presidents. And so I think it's really cool to see that pushback. And then responding to Maria a little bit, it's like a larger question. I also think this is a big issue we should look at, is that like AI use and in this big push for AI and these big changes for AI, a lot of students care about it. That's why there were so many people that filled it out. And I think that's something we should be looking into. Any other counselor hands? Then we'll go to Keegan. Okay, Keegan.
Yeah, I just want to mention with the AI conversation, I agree with everyone that I think it's really bothersome that, we've been told our entire academic careers that if you use AI, you are being fraudulent, but now we're being told, oh, it's okay. And, we're being graded with AI. But I've also had professors require that I use AI on assignments. And I was always told with the AI thing, it's a personal choice. So I think it's important to bring up in these conversations we're having with the boards that if they are going to push for AI, can we still ensure that students who don't want to use it have the choice to still succeed at MSU without this concept of like whatever they're adding to Canvas? I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
I can shed some light into that just really quickly because we have to go. We have to go to the next thing. But in President's cabinet, this is explicitly mentioned. The president wants there to be AI incorporated in mandatory assignments at least one per semester. And the provost is helping push back on that. And faculty senate hates it. The faculty don't. Well, I can't. They haven't technically voted. So, but that's a later conversation for today. But the faculty, I can't say faculty senate's opinion. Sorry, faculty senate. Like I've seen perspectives from individual senators there that that they really don't like the idea that it would be mandatory. And so I think that's a big question, and I think we should really look into that, making sure that students aren't required to use AI if they don't want to. There were quite a few students that don't use it at all right now in their surveys that they ran, and that's just a big thing. I will really quickly. Any other advisory committees that are like you think is pressing? Otherwise, please give a written report. I'll see hands. Okay, we're going to move on to open floor. And we're already over time for this section. I'm going to give, no, I already gave it. Never mind, because it came up. So any other things in open floor? Okay, we will move on to old business. First thing is discussion on the TSEC rules of order and chairship guidelines and procedures. And then there is a reference document, which is a resolution that's in progress. We are not, however, presenting this as like for approval. So if we want to, look at any parts of it, we're welcome to, but this is just a general discussion on like how we think these meetings should be run. Because at the current moment, there aren't really any rules. We're kind of just in like no gods, no masters land. And then also like how the chairship guidelines and procedures should be written. I know there's some opinions. So I'm just going to open the floor for discussion points. If any of the people that are on this resolution that are sort of thinking about it, and or Matt, who I believe has also been thinking about it pretty heavily, want to start, they're welcome to, but I will see all hands. I don't think we should necessarily read through all of it unless it's just something that everybody really wants. I think that it's a very long resolution and we have a short amount of time. I think a general discussion, and if any of the authors want to like find a specific point to look at, I think that's a good idea. But that's just my opinion, and I will entertain whatever. Patrick.
Yeah, so I would really like everyone's engagement towards this because this is something that is part of our job here and our role is to pay attention and to make sure that we're understanding what we're going to be voting on, because this will probably be something that we present next week. And it's a very large document that we have. I see everyone's a little bit busy, and during the meeting. However, there's the present most thing that I really want us to consider, if possible, if I could gather everyone's attention, is really just making sure that we're following through with our biggest thing that we have here, which is within these guidelines and procedures, is going to be the rules of order that we want to instill. That way that we can facilitate the meetings in a more efficient manner and a lot more communicative manner for our councils to understand, especially for councils who are new to student government or those who are trying to learn or trying to adapt. That would probably be the biggest thing that I would highly encourage. And I believe it's imperative for everyone to really pay attention, because it is something that is going to not involve just us, but other following council. So this is going to be a guideline and procedures. For example, budget committees using a guideline that was created about 3 years ago. So this is something that will affect not just from right now, but from other, I don't want to say generations, but other councils.
Sure.
Future cycles.
Future cycles.
I also want to say that guidelines and procedures are governing documents. Like they have some sort of governing power, even if it's less in the Constitution. And so it does, no matter what committee it's of, affect the entire council. And we should all really be thinking about it. Okay, I think we have a short amount of time. I want to ponder to other people that are really invested in this is like how we should continue. I think we should pull up the actual rules of order document, not necessarily the resolution, which is linked in the resolution. If you'll scroll down to find it, there's like a blue link, and sort of look at that. Is that something that other folks would be interested in?
What's up?
Yeah. Also, if you're an author on this, free speak, please. You don't have to ask me.
There.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. But yeah, if you are an author or been already involved in this conversation, so myself, Will, Matt, or Patrick, please just free speak. And anyone else raise hands, I will call on you, I promise.
As you can see, this one is one of 3 pages other than the other 5 pages that we have. So if everyone would give their attention to either within your monitors or whether it be here on the screen, we have here the SUT SAC Rules of Order, Procedure of the Chairship Committee. Our intent with this, and it's going to be, it's a little bit more, it goes a little more deeper within our procedures and the guidelines, because this is something that we want it to be an evolving document. It's something that has to be curated by the council itself. So not necessarily just depend on the chairship, but those who are part of actually TSAC itself. So everyone here, just like the other iteration cycles, if we pass this would be something that we all collaborated, we all give our opinion, making sure that the language that we're putting in here is something that we all agree with, and establishing something that comes in, that's something consistent that we can all look to, right? So I'm not sure if y'all would like us to read over it, if y'all just want to look at it yourselves. I just want to make sure we're putting best use of our time here rather than just talking to a wall.
Yeah. I want to say that I want to really quickly work really collaboratively with Keegan to sort of go through this document in a very, very brief way. So this top section is like a definition section that goes over, it's really just defining some terms to be used in the procedure. So I'm not going to read all of those. And then in parliamentary order, we're sort of just talking about what does parliamentary order mean? We're clarifying. The Constitution says this is a duty of me and Patrick, and we really want to make sure that we have like some guiding principles there. The guiding principles for writing this document is like, how can we make our meetings efficient? How can we make sure they're on time? How can we make sure that all the voices are being heard? And we're also balancing that with that we are 12 different people with 12 different opinions on almost everything. And we should really think about making sure that we can spend our time with a little bit of debate, but also really getting things done for that advocacy part of our mission. And then we go into some motions, and it's like an incomplete list. It's just listing some like typical motions. Then if we did pass this, there would be a graphic version of this, which you guys have seen like a preliminary version of, to really explain to the council how rules of order work. I think one of the biggest complaint about our meetings for individual counselors is not understanding what is going on. And I really want to ensure that we all understand that so we can have effective advocacy. So we just go through quite a few different motions. Some of those motions are just to do business. Some of those motions are to enforce actions of the chair. Some of those motions are many different things. And then, yeah, I would scroll down to, I believe there's another section, if you would, Keegan. There's a lot of motions just listed. There's an infinite number of motions. I could motion right now to do anything, and that's a thing. And then like talking about how our agendas get made. We've had like an informal system that had one TSAC vote in one meeting where the chairs sort of influence the order of the agenda and the time frame of the agenda, and the executive assistant helps us push it out and get it posted. I really want to write that in and get that part of it. And then if you'll scroll down to a little bit more. No, that's the end.
Yeah. And just like Sky was saying, biggest thing here is efficiency. We want to make sure that a lot of us here understand how the motion is going to be. As like, motion to vote, and then motion on another thing. We want to make sure it's something that's clear and concise. So if that's something you don't like, you don't want us to do double motions to vote, maybe you can put in your perspective on there, and we can make sure, because this is something up to us. It's something up to Will, Matt, Irvi, Rowan, Faye, Sai, me, Sky, Steffi, Maria, and Keegan a little bit. But definitely something that it affects everybody. And Susana, who's online, and Emma. So like I highly, and I cannot be a lot more explicit. Please look over this. Put on your perspective. Put on your thinking hat. Put on your judging hat. That's what you want to do. We just want to make sure we have your perspective. This is something that's not going to affect us. A big thing that we put in here that y'all haven't read, if y'all do, is going to be that this is something that can be used by other iterations if they choose to. This is something they can decide themselves or vote on to use, right? So this may be something that other councils may be looking towards as an example. So definitely, if y'all want to really set a good example and do for our purpose that we're here as leaders, take your time right now to read this, understand it, make sure when we come back here, because this is about 9 pages on the document itself, plus 4 pages of the rules of order. And as much as I would like to read all that during the meeting, I wanted to prefer us to have our direct questions and get right to business when we have this presented.
I also want to clarify, these are pages with a lot of bullets, so it's not like full pages. They do have bullets, which saves a lot of space. Just FYI, it's not too big of a read. But we're certainly not going to read it right now. So I want to sort of reopen the floor completely to be like, raise your hand if you want to talk, and then everyone please feel free. I want to start with like probably the biggest area of contention that I found among the people that have been involved in this conversation. And also, for the record, we want to open this conversation up to literally everyone. So please talk to us. We are happy to make sure that happens. But how do we balance the like control of the chairs, like that have authority? Like I just made 2 decisions right now to like open and close hands and stuff. Like balance that authority with ensuring that we're effective and we ensuring that we have like adequate time to do business. And so like, do we have ideas of how that should work? Just anybody hands. Faye.
I was also just going to note for the council that a thing that I have seen in many spaces that I exist in is the confusion of what the rules of order actually do. So that's part of what this document is for, is like when specific motions are needed or how things are supposed to like progress within a meeting. So there's been confusion about what even things like friendly amendment, which is defined in this document, mean. So this is to very much clarify like where these points of contention are and how you're supposed to move through them within our own rules of order, because we're not necessarily prescribed to the full Roberts rules.
There's also this like thing of like ensuring that our rules aren't just Roberts rules, because that is a long, dense, thick document, hard to understand, and is often very colonial. And we've had a very big push from people to make sure it's very decolonial in that aspect. Let's go to Will. Yeah, you've talked last.
That area of contention, us for sure. But before me and Matt get to yapping, like throughout the rest of the meeting, we definitely want to hear from other counselors we've heard concerns from. And I might put some counselors on the spot, so forgive me. But this is the time to speak.
Yeah, this is our weekly meeting. We have the time to talk and to like do our business here.
Yeah,
this is what we're here for. So Maria, me and Matt have definitely heard of some of your concerns, but we would like you to definitely get your voice out there.
Really quickly, I want to interject with a little bit of order type thing. We are 15 minutes into this meeting, left in this meeting, and we have quite a few things. I think that given that we are not meeting throughout the rest of December, we just have one more meeting left. I think it would be appropriate to extend our meeting by a little bit today to really discuss the next things. I would suggest 30 minutes to the council. I will entertain any and all motions of the council at this moment.
I motion for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
I second that motion.
Is there any opposition? One. Seeing one in opposition, this motion passes. We will continue. The meeting end time will be 7:20 today. Okay, we'll go to Maria. Sorry.
Sorry.
Seconded by Will.
I think I had something to say about the special meetings. Actually, could you come back to me? I do have things to say, but
yeah,
I need to find exactly where.
Can I give context into what it is? That'll probably jog your memory. So we had written into this a section for special meetings. There have been special meetings at TZAC in the past that are like outside the regular schedule, and it's unclear how those get called. We put a section here that essentially allows them to be called in one of 3 ways. One way would be if the council were to send a message in the Teams chat and vote on it, and that passes by majority, that the council could have a special meeting, and then as long as just everybody in the council knows about it, that meeting could happen. The second way, or another way, is that there is a unanimous vote of any standing committee. So if PR gets together and all members of the PR committee say yes to having a special meeting, they set the time, all they have to do is notice the council of, hey, we're meeting at this time, be there. And then the other way would be a majority vote of the chairship, which a 2-person chairship would be me and Patrick, both of us, could essentially say, things have come to our attention. We think there needs to be a meeting. We're calling a meeting. We're going to notice the council. I want to note there's also a caveat to this, which is that if for any reason you couldn't be at a special meeting because it is less than 7 days notice, we've specifically written in here that is that should be excused. Just let us know what's going on and talk to the accountability committee. And also that special meetings, if the smaller body of people, like the PR committee or the chairship, decide to call a meeting, that's not a majority of the councilors that made the decision. If a smaller body decided to do that and the council didn't want that, it is understood that if for some reason there's an authoritarian set of two chairships that are calling a meeting, that councilors can just not show up. And if there's not 7 councilors at a meeting, it can't convene because of quorum. So all of that being said, I want to make sure Maria gets a chance to answer. Maria.
Yeah, thank you, Sky. Some concerns that I had about this is that I learned from Matt that special meetings can also be called by advisors, and that's something that wasn't included in there.
I have a point of clarification that's not currently in the document. I don't believe it ever has been.
Matt. Oh.
Matt, yeah, can you clarify? Can you shed some light into that?
Yeah, I was just to notice that the advisor is not referenced in this section. But there was some other concerns around just the language of if you scroll up just a hair. The language on the majority vote for chairship versus unanimous vote of other standing committees, I think that could just be the same. But with unanimous vote of any other standing committee with at least 3 committee members, automatically puts 2 committees at potentially less access to this motion than other committees.
Well, if I respond, yeah, I'll respond to that. So the reason I wrote that at least because I wrote this little bullet section. The reason I wrote at least 3 there is just so that like technically right now sustainability has 2 members. It's just me and Rowan. No one else has consistently showed up to meetings, so we don't really have any other members. And so we can convene a meeting, and I don't think there should be the power of just 2 counselors to call a meeting. The only deference that I give to that is the chairs, just because of how much information that gets sent to us. Things get sent to us about important things that might need to have a really quick meeting, and I think that makes sense as being a part of like parliamentary order, calling those meetings together. And that's another reason why I don't want it to be unanimous, because I think that if there was, because the Constitution allows for any number of people to be in the chairship. There could be 3 co-chairs. That's in the Constitution doesn't set a limit. And so if there were 3, I think having 2 out of 3 call that, it should also be something that be allowed. And that's the only reason I don't say unanimous. And I put the specific clarification there that with 2, that does count as unanimous. But its majority is that little section. But that's reasoning for that. Will.
My other concern around that language is the potential misuse of 2 chairs calling a special order, right? A special meeting, and bringing business and different things that affect TSAC, but doing it in a way that there's no way to stop that unless like you don't go to the meetings, but the meeting's still happening without you. Information still being presented without the people. And that is one of my concerns, is like, at the end of the day, we are still students and we still have lives and like other commitments. And like, if we're hypothetically, if the chairs are calling special meetings constantly, it's like, I see that as a way of potentially excluding people as per like maybe their schedule or something like that. And maybe counselors in the future would love to be part of it, but they can't because of other factors, that like them being students, having kids, having, whatever. We all have our lives outside of TSAC. So that is my major concern with this. And there's no way to, like you said, they can convene, but I'm also thinking like, committees, can they meet without having to call this special meeting too? Without having this piece here?
Can you clarify that? Like, are you saying like, could a committee, what are you talking about committees?
Like currently now, like the budget committee and like, no, I know, but the chairship committee specifically.
So the chairship committee doesn't have meetings like that. We don't regularly meet outside of this meeting.
Yeah.
Like for a business meeting, we don't convene meetings with the chairship committee. So what are you talking about committees? Sorry.
I mean more like it gives a power, I think, to the chairship committee.
Yes. I want to clarify something here. So this is my response that I was sort of thinking of is that like, and the idea is that we want to balance the power of the chairs versus the ability to get business done when it needs to be done. If you look to giant bodies like the House of Representatives and the U.S. House of Representatives or the Colorado Legislature, the Speaker of the House or President of the Senate, essentially the chair, can walk into the chambers and call a meeting to order. They don't have to give notice. Well, they have to give public notice, which could be, if it's urgent, as simple as just sending a press release out. But it is up to the chair in that scenario to walk into and call a meeting to order. They can just convene. They have that authority to convene. They don't have to even wait till there's quorum present, which they can't do certain types of business until quorum is present, but they can convene a meeting. They have a lot more power. And I've seen this directly in person at the Colorado Legislature. The last 3 days of the session, they're working till midnight and they will walk in there and convene. And they like send a notification out, everyone's buzzers ring. But it's not like there was like prior written notice. I don't want that for us at all. I think that and if he can control up just a little bit, there's a section that talks about like reasons for no, it's actually in the guidelines at the very bottom. So almost near the bottom, there's a section in the guidelines, a section of this document about special meetings and then about their notice. And I want to look at that too. No, we just passed it a little bit more. Yeah, notice right there. So no, not notice, reason. Yeah. So I'm going to quote this. Calling a special meeting should be reserved for time-sensitive matters such that failure of TSAC to act before the next regular meeting would cause harm or generally be counter to our mission. And this is just a guideline that would necessarily be binding because trying to like adjudicate that is difficult in a very short amount of time. But this is essentially saying that, hey, PR committee, hey, sustainability committee, hey, the chairship, hey, the council, you shouldn't be calling a special meeting unless like you can't wait until next Thursday or next Monday for next semester. Like you can't wait because there's something that's been noticed to us that we need to do. And I think that's a subjective thing, but I think that's one of the safeguards in this scenario here. And so like if me and Patrick get notification of something really important and it is on a Friday, like right now, where our next meeting is in 7 days, I think it might be appropriate to call a meeting on Monday or Tuesday if it was like so important and we thought it satisfied this reason section. And I think that's something that is the process needs to be used. We had, I know, at least one special meeting last year of which there was counselors that could not attend to that and were disappointed and sometimes even a little bit miffed that they couldn't be there. And I think that will happen because there's not much notice. But the council should be able to act in important things. But yeah, I don't want to keep yapping, and then Will, I want to give you the opportunity to respond if you want to, and then we're going to go to Faye. So Will.
Me and Matt are deliberating.
Or yeah. Faye.
There's also a point raised about not listing the advisors in that section. And I would say my own personal logic of why they're not listed there is if the business is important enough, the advisors could probably convince either a standing committee or the chairship to be able to convene that meeting. I don't see putting the advisors in that section as necessary because I think the power to call those meetings should remain with the council.
I agree. I do think that adding the advisors to the notice section of ensuring technically notice is just noticing all 12 of us, but ensuring that it's written to the policy, the procedure that they have to be noticed to. That's a good idea too. And Will and Matt.
We were just talking. While this is great, like the reasoning for it and like time sensitive matters have happened before. I do feel like it could still potentially be abused. And we were thinking potentially if a meeting like that is called, that it still comes to the council from a smaller group of counselors in a committee or whatever.
Okay. Patrick, I respond first.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that the reason why I don't think it should have to have a vote of the council for every single special meeting. I think that it is often hard to get everyone to send a vote within like a timely manner. And it may be important to start preparing for that meeting while we're still waiting. And so if a committee meets, which if they're meeting and doing a public vote, that has to be already noticed anyway. So like that's already a rare occurrence that you have an urgent meeting and you happen to be meeting during your committee very soon. And so like that's a thing too. But so I I really think it's important for them to be able to call it. And each of those lines, they can't just call a meeting. It's not called until they give notice to the council. They can vote to do it, and then they have to give notice. And we also define what notice is in here. So giving it notice to the counselors typically through our Teams chat, but technically you could email everyone if you wanted. But that notice requirement, I think, is an important bit too. I think that if you were to send a message in the team chat with like a vote attached to it of like, we want to have a special meeting, I think it could be up to 24 or 48 a week before everyone really looks at it. Not everyone has that time to check the Teams chat. Sometimes people have like in their schedule set times to check Teams chats. And I think that that they could still be noticed about it being a notification without having to sit down and consider it and vote it and think about that, which takes a lot more time. And that's my reasoning. I do want to, before you respond, give it a chance to Patrick and or Faye, our co-authors, to talk about it. So Patrick.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's something like me and Sky's like reading part this was making sure that there's a good reason, like a valid reason for it to be called into matters. However, I do see, because I also saw the potential of individuals abusing the fact that you can just call a special meeting, especially if it's a co-chairship. So, I mean, that definitely depends on who you vote for to be co-chairs, to make sure if they're going to be, if you believe that's something they could abuse, maybe that's something you should consider. And definitely something I was always thinking about, because like the reasoning, that's something that I felt like maybe we could add that to the procedures. However, as it's stating just what Sky said, that could be something that, may not be. But then again, this is something that we all can decide on. This is something that, and it's great the fact that Will and Matt are bringing up this point, because it's something that we could all consider, right? It's something that maybe we agree with, maybe we don't agree with. So definitely, that's our biggest reason for this is like, if there's an urgent matter, say, worst comes to worst, especially with this presidency, if we haven't seen all these radical racist moves have been doing, there could be potential things that we may have to do in order. If I recall, last semester, we also called a special meeting. It was a little bit different, but, and it was also something that the whole council agreed to prior with like almost a week, right? So it wasn't something that we decided within 24 hours or something we decided a couple hours before. It was something that everyone was able to make time for. So that could also be something within everyone's consideration.
Really, I do want to clarify that I also think that special meetings don't necessarily have to just be used for something that has to happen before our next general meeting. It also might be the case that we might want to call a special meeting with more notice that is just for a specific purpose, because we might not want to take up a bunch of time in a meeting, or it might need to be longer, or it might be with a specific person who can't meet during our time. Like, I'll give an example of something that could have happened, which is we might wanted to have had a meeting about Trump's targeting of Afghan nationals, and that may be a thing that like we need a specific meeting for, and I wouldn't hate being able to have a business meeting about that with a lot more notice, because we have a little bit more time. But sorry for taking up all the time. Faye.
This is just a thought that just occurred to me that is in no way a motion or amendment to this current document, but just a thought to think about for both the authors and all the council, of possibly adding a provision to this special meeting section that if for some reason a supermajority of the council decides we don't want to have this meeting called, that they can vote with with that same language of like having it be a verifiable voting system, that the council can supermajority vote to cancel special sessions, because that means that even if you still have 3 people who say, hey, we want to call this, the other 9 could be like, no, and then cancel the meeting. Not saying that we should add that, just a thought to noodle on.
I'm actually, what I'm gonna be honest, what I'm looking for is an override of something coming from 2 people specifically, and that's, if a supermajority passes, that means most of the council does not want that meeting to happen, and therefore it should not happen, because the power should lie with the council.
This is something I've not considered before, so I think, oh my God, that's such a good idea. I think the threshold should be lower. I think it should be majority. I think that even if there's a majority vote of the council, I think if in chat they change their mind and a majority vote to cancel it, that'd be fine. Someone just makes a motion in the chat. I think that my idea behind that, the reason why I put this in there was you just deny quorum, which would be a majority vote. But I think that writing in specifically that you can motion in chat to not have one makes perfect sense. And I think you're perfectly, and obviously you are happy to do that. I think majority is the threshold though that I would want to see. And then I'm going to give deference to both of you to speak really quickly, and then we're moving on because we have so much more business.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, I would still like to hear opinions and voices from anybody else who's not the five of us.
Okay, I'm gonna give us 5 minutes because of how much time we're behind on, and for non-authors who haven't already spoke to chat first. So, hands, Maria.
Yeah, another part of this that I wanted to bring up was sorry. For C, housekeeping and public comment, and then executive sessions that section 1, E, and then 5. I wanted to bring that point up because it says the presiding chair may exclude or allow persons to attend executive sessions other than TSAC counselors. I sort of feel like that gives the co-chairs a lot more power, and I feel like they shouldn't have the authority on who can and who can't. I think as a council, we should decide that as a whole.
Yeah, totally agree. I think I'm the one that wrote this. So I'm going to give comments first, and then I'll pass it off to you guys. But so I wrote this in here because I was sort of copying in the executive session section what the Board of Trustees does. And so when they go into executive session, it is Kristen Hultquist's job to say, you can't be here, member of the public. You can't be here, student trustee. You can't be, they get to have the authority as the person that's commanding parliamentary order in that space. And so they get to say that. It's the vote of the council to decide to do things. And I think that clarifying that specifically in this line has already been brought up by the other individuals that have been talking about this. I think changing this to a clarification, and I did add this in here already, can allow or exclude based on the council's vote or based on the council's, a decision, I think is what it says. And essentially it gives the chair the power to act for the council to say, hey, Jim, you can't be here. Sorry, we just go into executive session. Please, you're welcome to come back when we get done. It gives the chair the power, the physical, procedural power to say, hey, you can't be here. It's not that I get to say whatever the council wants, but you can't be here. And if the council wants a member of the public, a non-voting member, to be a part of this executive session, then the person making the motion to go into executive session could say, I motion we go into executive, and this is not actually a motion for the record, I motion we go into executive session and allow Jim to be here. Because there's, they have to be here for some reason. And that's something that could be added, and that gives the chair the power to say, Jim, you can stay. That's sort of what's envisioned there. Happy to fix the language to make that as clear as possible. And then, do you think that answered everything? We're going to move on. Any other individuals that are not necessarily authors to ask questions so we can consider this as we draft? Go ahead. Ooh. Do you have another one? We're going to Maria first.
Okay, yeah. This is from another council that I'm saying what they thought, and I wrote it down. They said that it's too much jargon, it's inaccessible, does not accommodate for learning. Some parts are too much power and unconstitutional.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. I think we'll take all that input, and then if please go into this document and add comments. Please go into this. Please in the chat send us a message. If you want to be directly involved in the helping editing of this, send me or Patrick a Teams message. We will add you to our chat, and we will add you as an author. We were happy to have 10 authors on this document if you want to. We really want to present this next Thursday and have it pass so we go into the new year with rules of order. So we really appreciated it. We really appreciate some speedy work on this. I also do want to say that this document has been in the SharePoint, and we've also had it on the agenda at least once in the last 6 months, and it's been there since 6 months. So we've tried to give as much notice as possible with this. Okay, we are going to move on. I'm sorry to all the hands. We have very small amount of time. We're going to move on to the MSU Denver lawn discussion. We talked about it a little bit. I'm going to pass it off to Patrick. Let's try to keep it brief as possible.
Yeah, so I feel like we kind of addressed our feelings of how we could do that. So I'm just going to want to put this out here. How does the council feel inviting, what's her name? Leanne McKenzie to, I'm so sorry. Bokinski. If she could probably attend this and maybe we can address the issue. I mean, see what potential solutions there are for our organizations that depend on this free loan. I mean, we're college students, and like we mentioned before in our previous discussion, this is something that definitely is going to affect us since we are not exactly CU Boulder and have a lot of money. So, so I definitely suggest anyone here. So I want to ask the council just a temperature check to see if they want to do, if we would possibly like to invite this individual, and we could possibly find a solution and this to our meetings like next semester, next week. Who knows?
I'll open hands for discussion. I'm going to start though. Sorry. I think that we should invite one or both of Leanne Bokinski or the director of facilities, just because I know they both have busy schedules. And I think that the decision, while probably, as Simpkins had said, was probably pushed by Leanne Bokinski, I think the final decision was probably resting with the director of facilities, and we should really consider that too. And so I think both is an option, but I don't want to impose my will on the council. So I'll see hands. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Sky, especially because Will Simpkins did say that they're still negotiating right now. So I think inviting either one or both would be a good idea.
Okay. You spoke first, so I'm going to go to Will and then we'll go back to you.
You were saying temperature check, right?
I was going to motion actually for a vote.
Well, okay. Before you do that, anyway, yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay, I believe I have a request for a motion. So Patrick,
I motion to vote to invite Leanne McKinsky or Bokinski or the facility manager or whomever. So sorry, I'm not too familiar with names on that. To our meeting, potentially just invited them to the meeting to see if we could have that discussion as soon as possible.
I'm going to restate that motion before I hear a second. I'm hearing that as a motion to either invite the Chief Operating Officer, Leanne Bokinski, and or the Director of Facilities, insert name here once we clarify it, to come to a meeting of their choice on one of our Monday meetings next semester.
That.
Beautiful. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
That's been seconded. I believe this is popular. Any objection? That motion passes. Okay, I think we can cover that in future meetings. I'm going to move on to new business. Food for Finals event, Susana Villagomez. I know we inadvertently talked about this earlier during PR updates, and so I wanted to have the floor open. I'm going to give it to Susana first, and then we'll go to Hans.
Point of order.
There's a point of order. Hold one moment.
We did add a new item to old business, but I would like to motion to table that business.
What was the, can you clarify?
It was the motion to talk about an APC election. As the meeting is not until January 21st, we have at least two meetings, or no, at least one meeting to discuss that. Okay,
I hear a point of order. Motions during point of orders are out of order. I just recognized Susana. I'm going to take that away, and then I'm going to hear a motion. What was your motion?
My motion is to table the last item of old business.
Wonderful.
Second that.
Okay. Any opposition? Okay. Now that we're back in order, we'll go to back to Susana. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Hello. I just wanted to put that back on the discussion just to see how everybody feel about this event. But also, I just wanted to remind everyone. I know that Steffi already mentioned that we did see people sign up, but for some reason, if you can't go, please let one of me, Steffi, or Ovi know, because we really rely on his attendance, and not letting us know does affect this event, especially this event carries a lot of questions of like, when is the masseuse is going to come, or when the food is going to come for students if something does happen, or like if something didn't arrive on time, please let us know that we go to the store and buy something quick, or etc. But that is just what I just want to mainly state. It is next Monday and Tuesday, starting from like 7:30 to 11. So please let us know if you're not gonna attend. But that is pretty much it, unless if somebody else wants to say something.
I will see hands. Patrick.
Yeah, definitely being someone who was in PR last year, this definitely helps out even just for like maybe just like the first 15 minutes if you just want to help us move stuff. That's probably the biggest thing is setting things up and breaking things down. So if you have class like say half an hour after it starts or anything like that, please, please, please. It makes such a difference when we have more hands. It makes things a lot quicker. And for attendance, that you just sit there, you introduce yourself, greet individuals, show them what what we're offering and the things that's going on, the services. Because just like Susanna said, PR team is gonna be managing when the food gets here. It's gonna see when we can get the invoices. It's gonna talk about the massage therapist. So all this communication is gonna be going through them. So us as counselors and as the dedicated time we have here, and it's something that where students know that this is gonna happen. So if you really want to get your face out there and make sure that student government shows up, show up.
Wonderful. We're gonna move on for the sake of
Thank
time.
you.
I have. Ooh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I have. Did you have a thing, Susanna? Because you can go if you'd like.
Sorry, my bad. You guys are so tiny, I can't see. But I was gonna say, like, for the goodie bags, I forgot to mention it's only 100 per day. So the first day is only gonna be 100, and the next day is gonna be 100. No other person should get seconds or thirds. It's only one goodie bag per person. If it runs out, it just runs out. That's just how much like we put into the budget. So please don't give out more goodie bags than it's not supposed to be. And that's
I think we have a point of clarification from Keegan. We're gonna go there first.
We only have 100 goodie bags. That's it.
There should be another 100.
We
I know.
don't have.
I'm gonna defer this conversation to the PR committee meeting. To the next PR committee meeting, if you guys want to continue talking about it, please get Keegan's input ahead of time because I don't think she can make this. Okay, we are going to move on. The last thing I do want to say is for the food for finals resolution that happened, the chairs have been numbering them as they get added to the agenda. We skipped 12. So the next resolution will be 12. They'll be out of order, just FYI, so for everyone to understand. 12 didn't happen. We just went to 13. So just FYI. Okay, on to day 2, winter retreat training discussion. We have a small amount of time. Susanna.
Hi, I just wanted to also mention about the second day, because I know the first day we're gonna bring the delegates with us, but I just wanted to clarify, just me and Steven, just to have a better understanding, if we want delegates to come like the half day on the second day, or not come at all, or just have it just for us. Hello?
Oh, there's hands. I'm so sorry. That's my job. Say, go ahead.
My personal just like first thought is we can make it optional for them to attend. So if they wish to be there while the council does their full day, that they are more than welcome to, but I don't think that we necessarily have to make it mandatory for the delegates.
Okay. I also really quickly want to say we still are in meeting for 4 more minutes. So please give your full attention to the meeting if you're not already. So I also have a point to say on this discussion. So I think that we'd previously discussed about not having them come just so we can train in a conducive environment to being vulnerable and not around new people to the council or as members of the council. And I think we should continue with that. That's my opinion on the matter. Any other hands? I got head nods from Stephen for the record. On record, Matt. No, you're not Matt. Okay. I didn't see anything. We do have 4 minutes left in the meeting. We are going to go right back to the discussion on basic rules of order, and I want to give deference to Matt and Will if they have any specific questions they want to ask counselors before we adjourn.
Before that, I know that was sorry. I should have raised my hand.
Sorry, what was that, Susanna? You're recognized. Go ahead.
Before that, I did just wanted to see how everybody felt, and I did hear it, but I did want to make a motion just to vote on it, that we could just be clear on the record.
Okay. You are welcome to make a motion to vote. I would discourage it as we have next meeting. We could motion it to do it then. We have no time. But that is up to you if you want to make the motion.
Well, I think it's just a simple motion, so I would like
Okay. Motion is made. Is there a second?
Negative.
Motion to vote on this question.
What's the question?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any opposition to us about to vote? Okay, we're going to vote. Seeing no opposition, that passes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to clarify the motion for what is to vote. Do you want to do one or the other?
I motion to clarify what the motion is.
No, please, please. I'm not accepting that motion. That's out of order. Because you weren't recognized. So I will make the motion. Motion for us not to have the delegates come on the second day of training.
I motion for the delegates not to come on the second training day.
I made that motion.
Oh, you made the motion.
That motion.
I second
Seconded
it.
by Faye. Any opposition? Any opposition? We'll clarify in a moment. Any opposition? Okay, that motion passes. The motion was a motion to not have the delegates come on the second day of our training. Okay, back to Matt and Will
Go for it.
for our 2 minutes.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Real quick. So back to the language accessibility portion of the procedures and guidelines. We've heard from a few counselors that it's very difficult to read, especially coming in to the PSAC, and not really having that background of knowing what is even going on with this procedures and guidelines. I don't know if that's, thank you. I'm not sure what the easy solution is. I know we don't have time for this, so I won't really get into it, but there's a way to bring it down to where people can access it better. Through my education courses and stuff as a teacher.
Okay, I'm going to use the last 10 seconds probably to respond to that as the person that wrote most of that. So the idea is of procedures and guidelines of a committee, I believe, is that the committee is the one who primarily needs to read those and really understand what they are. I wrote this in 2 separate documents for a reason. The rules of order are a document that everyone really, really, really knows front to back because it's a lot shorter. It's only 4 pages and there are bullets. And the procedures and guidelines, every incoming chair reads that and understands what it is, and anyone can read it. But it's less governing what can happen. The rules of order typically govern the majority of what can happen. There's a lot less governance happening of the whole council and mostly just how should the chairs operate? And I think that's an important clarification. It is now time. I will entertain motions to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, any opposition? Okay, that passes. We are adjourned. For the record, Maria seconded that.